welcome everyone to an episode of Butterfield Live. We have Scott joining us tonight. Thanks for joining, Scott.
Thank you.
And we have Mr. Anderson over here joining us from the warm climate of El Salvador.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Good to be here. Scott, thanks for making the time, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. We'll cover a lot.
We'll cover a lot. Yeah, obviously, if you haven't heard about Scott, he'll introduce himself. But we got some pretty cool topics, stuff that is actually outside of our realm. So obviously, we brought in an expert to kind of speak about stuff that we actually don't know much about. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, certainly open to different ideas. Let's get to it, man.
So I guess I could explain just a little bit of my story for the new viewers. So I'm following Aajonus Vonderplanitz. He's a 100% raw food nutritionist. Incurable disease, cancers, and nobody survived all of them. And he went through a very painful journey, and through the process, he discovered raw milk, which helped him a lot. But after that, he actually fell into veganism, and then he deteriorated, and his cancer came back again. And then he decided he was actually going to fast himself to death. And upon doing that, basically had like a spiritual experience with some coyotes. And they actually brought him a rabbit because they knew he was starving. So they gave him a rabbit, and they ripped it open in front of him, and he ate it to kill himself because he remembered that his uncle said that if you don't cook a rabbit, you'll get a parasite and die a painful death in 48 hours. So he's like, okay, instead of having to fast for another 6 weeks and suffer, he could just die quickly. So he ate that. And he thought he was dying because it felt like he was having a near-death experience. And the only times in his life where he didn't feel pain was when he was dead. So he's died 3 times. And I think, or it might have been twice, but I think it's once. He was on an operating table and he died. Another time he died during a psychedelic experience. And so he knew he was dying because he felt good. And he went back to his campsite and he went to sleep and he woke up the next day and felt better. And it took him a few days to connect the dots because he thought it was going to take a while to kick in. And then he started eating raw meat and he went on a huge journey with it. And I consider him very special. I have a spiritual past, and I believe in spiritual energy and intuition. And Aajonus is a legitimate psychic. He's a very special person, and he's dedicated his entire life to this. And he was forced to learn how to truly be healthy because he came from the worst condition you can imagine. He was basically paralyzed. He could not bend his back at all because of the radiation therapy. He was crippled, and he had to crawl on the floor with his elbows. He couldn't even make it to the bathroom. So what he did is he shit himself and threw up on the floor and crawled in circles all day for the last year or two, right before he was supposed to die. And all his teeth were dangling in his gums. And if he bit down on anything, he would bleed a half cup of blood. And he had to get 2 blood transfusions a week. So one of the workers from a hospice that helped take care of him before he died recommended him to drink raw milk. And that reversed his autism. That his autistic fog disappeared in a week. He's also drinking raw carrot juice. And he gained coherence and he started to actually have some sense of language. And he had to literally teach himself how to read and write. So he had to look up the definition of every single word in every book he read. And he connected the dots. He knew it was the raw milk and carrot juice that healed him. And that's the beginning of the journey of his health. And the raw milk actually regrew the enamel on his teeth, so he didn't lose all his teeth.
Wow.
And so with me, I've been into nutrition my entire life. Not my entire life, no. Since I was about 14. When I was 14, I wanted to get abs so I could get laid. So I got into intermittent fasting and keto, and I started doing sit-ups and stuff. And that was the beginning of my health stuff because I wanted a keto diet. And I tried intermittent fasting at one point, but then I got into bodybuilding. Then I had a oatmeal and rice with protein powder and protein shakes. And I put raw eggs in my protein shakes back then when I was like 16. I didn't know about raw food. I was just like making some quick protein.
Oh, nice.
And chicken rice, oatmeal, and all that. And when I was about 16, when I got to 18. So my personality is very extreme, and anything I do in my life, I go 100% in. And so, like, I'm kind of religious about this diet right now. I was also religious about weightlifting. I was also religious about meditation. So I've had like 3-4 distinct periods of my life where I focused 100% of my effort on one topic. Like, it used to be video games, and then it was weightlifting, and then it was smoking weed, and then it was meditation, and then it was the diet. And also there's micro phases within the diet, but so 18, I got really into the meditation. And so the spiritual gurus tell you to fast. And I tried fasting for 24 hours, just water. And I have a history of psychedelics from my spiritual development. And that one fast I did, I felt like I gained more wisdom than my average acid trip. And I was mind blown. I was so excited. I was like, I've discovered something amazing. And then I became obsessed with the fasting. And basically, I was going on long fasts, meditating nonstop all day, every day, and sun gazing every morning, every night, doing yoga routine, breathing techniques like Wim Hof. And I walked in the snow barefoot and shirtless. And, I didn't wear shoes ever. And so I had my feet were really calloused because I was walking on the concrete every day, and I'd walk on rocks to make my feet stronger. And before this journey started with the meditation and the fasting, I got 2 HPV vaccines, and I thought nothing of it. I got incredibly sick the day I took them, but I didn't connect the dots. I had to get them for my senior year of high school in order to attend school. And so that combined with the fasting was a really bad combination. And I went from being incredibly disciplined, focused, high energy, hard worker into being lazy and depressed. And I struggled to stay consistent with anything. This was the very beginning of the diet when all the fatigue set in. So I was doing all the fasting. I transitioned to veganism. I felt great until the last 6 weeks. The last 6 weeks, I was like burning out and just really not feeling good. And at the same time, I was studying the snake diet, who practices long fasts. And his name's Cole Robinson. He ate raw meat in a video. I looked up raw meat. I found Severage. I found Aajonus. Severage is a raw meat YouTuber who I actually really do not like because he has a very bad attitude and it corrupts the minds of many people. And it's just very negative. So I don't like his ideology. But then I went through a small Severage phase, and I felt better when I realized that Aajonus was the one to actually listen to. So like the very beginning of the diet, I actually felt amazing. I felt absolutely fantastic for like 3 months. I was feeling sensations I haven't felt since I was a child. And I felt like I was truly awake for the first time in a long time. And I knew I discovered something very, very powerful, very, very important. And I felt like, I don't want to say enlightened because most people misuse that word, but I guess I'll say I felt a little bit enlightened. And
nice.
After 3 months on the diet, I was like, I'm getting all these amazing nutrients. I'm on the perfect diet. I could probably smoke weed again without getting side effects. Because at the time of me starting the diet, I didn't smoke for like 6 to 9 months. So I was on month 3 of the diet and I started smoking again. And at the very same time, I did something that you really should not do on this diet. And it's a reason that you need to do your research on the diet in order to do it safely. Because there is risks on this diet. But if you're smart, you know what you're doing, you can mitigate those risks. And, if you really have some guidance, there's in my opinion, no risks. But according to a doctor, it'd say it's deadly, dangerous diet. So I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do this. I'm telling you my experience. So I ate moldy raspberries. So on this diet, it's basically about optimal nutrition via raw food, because cooking damages nutrients, which I can explain later, and that there's no such thing as bad bacteria, and that we welcome sickness. And that sickness is a detoxification process. It's the body utilizing bacteria, fungus, parasites, and another word which we can't use, which is technically a solvent. So bacteria, parasite, fungus, and solvent. And
V word.
What?
V word?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the body utilizes those 4 mechanisms to break down toxins in the body. So you're talking like, where are these toxins? They're everywhere. We are in a very toxic society. We're poisoning ourselves on a daily basis. So let me just give you some examples. So food coloring, yellow dye, blue dye, green dye, all that stuff is heavy metals. You know, like yellow dye 5 is made from cadmium, I believe. I think it's number 5, but one of the yellow dyes made from cadmium, and it causes kidney cancer. And you know, so you got food coloring and like shampoo, toothpaste, and a lot of different foods, or even medication. And then you have preservatives in food, or if you have any liquid food stored in metal, it's going to break down the metal. You're getting low-grade metal poisoning. And if you look at the back of basically any food, you're going to have like 30, 40 chemicals in it. You have no idea what they are. Those are all toxins. It's chemicals, industrial pollution. And any kind of supplement, 99% of supplements, like vitamin supplements, are made with kerosene. Kerosene is a natural solvent, but it's very toxic. But they can use it and call it organic. So, and usually a lot of what the supplements are made from is food waste that cannot be processed into food because it doesn't meet standards, but there's a loophole where they can make it into a supplement. So you're just getting the worst garbage. And it'll stop symptoms, because symptoms are a result of 2-3 main things. A nutrient deficiency can arise, can develop symptoms, or it could be toxicity, or it could be allergies. But allergies are often, people think they have allergies when they don't. You know, that's often a smoke screen. It's often not the true cause of the problem. So generally speaking, it's nutrient deficiencies and toxicity. So I'll talk about more sources of toxins. We got like car exhaust, cigarette smoke, like factories burning coal, paint. Paint can outgas toxic chemicals. You don't have to wear a mask with that. It's going to outgas for years gradually. Or like synthetic fiber clothing. I should know if this is natural or not, but like if you have like the polyester, that is like made of plastic essentially. And when you inhale it, it creates your body has to break it down to a very like toxic, it's like corrosive substance. If I remember correctly, it's just very bad. So we have toxins everywhere in our environments. And also with the fact of cooking our food, we're creating nutrient deficiencies, which makes it very hard to detox. So your body uses those 4 mechanisms to break down degenerated tissue. Degenerated tissue, your body ingests a toxin, your body has to store it somewhere. It can't process all the toxins. It's too many toxins on a daily basis. Combined with our deficient diets, the toxins are going to accumulate. We cannot process them all. So it's going to store somewhere. And what kind of toxin determines like where is it going to store? Or if you have a certain nutrient deficiency, it's going to store in more areas, because if you had the right nutrients, you could break down that toxin and remove some of it, or maybe all of it. You have a nutrient deficiency, you can't break it down. Your body has to store it to handle later. So your body breaks down, dissolves the degenerated tissue. And then what happens is you get symptoms, because first your body has to use massive amounts of nutrients to break down that toxin and remove it from the body safely. When it's removed from the body, it can be removed through mucus. Your body can spend nutrients to produce the substance mucus, and it can cough it out, sneeze it out, or however, or earwax, boogers, eye boogers. That's toxins coming out the brain, gums, this area. So it can discharge from the nearby glands or other like avenues. So like your lymph nodes, those are basically the vacuum cleaners in the body. And they process the toxins and they help break it down. And the best way for toxin to be removed from the body is through the skin. So if you sweat it out or it comes out in a rash or acne or discoloration, But the thing is, our lymph nodes are clogged with plastic oil, hydrogenated vegetable oil, very toxic. We didn't have heart disease before that came out. So it's like the margarine, the vegetable oils, all that stuff, very toxic. Basically, it's irradiated, which is a very similar process of making plastic. So inside the body, it makes a plastic-like substance. So it will crystallize, congest the lymphatic system with the lymph nodes. So then your vacuum cleaners cannot, they're full. The bags are full. So now our bodies, either they can't process those toxins, and when your body can't process the toxins, that's what develops disease. It's an accumulation of toxins that prevents proper function. So if we can't remove it from the skin, we're going to have to either let it develop into a disease because we literally can do nothing about it because we're so deficient, we're so clogged that we can't remove it, or it's going to come out the digestive tract. You can throw it up, you can vomit, which is much more stressful, taxing on the body because you're throwing up the bacteria, or you're decreasing your bacterial count. The vomit, the diarrhea is going to kill your bacteria, decrease your digestion temporarily. And also it's going to spend tons of nutrients. So you have to use so many nutrients to remove it like that. If you can just sweat out the skin, it's much more easy. So in regards to sweating out, the lymph nodes are clogged. In order to unclog them, we have to take the hot baths. It's a very important, underlooked part of the diet. So that's the main premise of the diet. Sickness is a detox. Disease is the resulting accumulation of toxins. And symptoms can also be a result of nutrient deficiencies. So I was talking about that because I was mentioning supplements. So this is a very important principle. You can stop a detox and the symptoms go away because your body no longer has to spend the nutrients breaking down those toxins. Those nutrients are now free nutrients that can be used to produce energy, to think clearly, to feed your joints, to feed, like if you get sick and your joints hurt, that's because your nutrients are being used to process the toxins, not to lubricate your joints. So you can stop the sickness by creating emergency responses in the body. You can create an emergency response through cold showers. You can get it through taking supplements, which are toxic and create an adrenaline response. So like cold shower supplements, they release adrenaline and they neutralize symptoms. So it makes you feel better, right? But does that mean it's healthy? That's why you have to look very carefully about why does it make you feel certain ways, And like you have to understand the root cause of disease, sickness, like the true nature of health. You have to analyze these practices and decide, are they actually healthy or not? In my opinion, I don't like cold showers. I don't like cold exposure. It may be beneficial in certain circumstances, like if you're an athlete for recovery, but I wouldn't do a long time. I'd do like 2 minutes max, 1 minute. But if you are a weak individual, I would not recommend it because I think it takes a bunch of nutrients to heat up your body and it's just stressful. So like if you're weak and you're fatigued, you don't have energy, I think it'd be better to baby yourself. Don't push yourself through the ice stuff because that's going to slow down your progress. But like if you're already strong, already healthy, the ice baths could be beneficial in some circumstances, but generally speaking, I don't recommend it. And so yeah, supplements are a no-go. And I could go into more detail, but I'll stop at that.
Yeah. No, wow. That was a great in-depth breakdown of, who was Aajonus, right? Because I didn't know that information, what he had suffered through, and then your story, and then also like what's the whole movement about, right? And you're saying it's really just reframing the, pretty much our conventional health perspective on what is sickness, on what causes it, and this idea that you mentioned what was it, the bacteria, parasites, the V word, the solvent, and then there was one more thing.
Fungus.
Fungus, right? Yeah, these are actual detoxifying mechanisms.
There's
right,
one
of the
thing I
body.
skipped over earlier that I forgot to go back to. I'd like to finish that. The moldy berries that I ate.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the moldy berries cause super strong detox because that fungus starts dissolving heavy metals in the brain really fast. So what the side effect of eating moldy berries is, it can cause intense fatigue that can last up to a year. And so I ate those moldy berries.
Dang.
And that just it killed me. I ate the moldy raspberries. A week after eating the moldy raspberries, I started smoking weed again, or maybe it was the other way around. But so then I basically became very tired all the time, depressed, had no energy. All that good emotion I had was gone. And then I tried to quit smoking like 15 times in 2 years, and failed every time. I could not stay sober off of marijuana. And, you know, that's part of what I had to heal myself, and I had to learn how to do the diet properly in order to get that, to heal myself. I look like I'm healthy, but my health still is not where I want it to be. I'd say I'm 70% recovered, but when I do the diet properly, I see amazing results really fast, and I know my potential. And getting myself from the state I was back then back to where I am now, it's like I still get back to how healthy I was back then, but it just made me so thankful for health in general and understanding how important it is. So I'm going to let you finish what you were saying. If I can go more into that too.
No, I love it. I love it. Sounds like, I mean, you've clearly dedicated a lot of time to researching this, and a lot of the ideas are going to be, well, a lot of the stuff you're saying, like, it's brand new information to me, and I'm sure like other people who are our followers, are probably scratching their heads and they're like, you know, what is going on? But we have lots of comments. There's a lot of activity going on today. I just want to make sure we can get through most of these.
I think I'd like to suggest some topics.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to just like shoot through the comments, Jay?
Yeah. Let's take it from the top.
Yeah, we'll just do it quick though.
Courtney's in.
Let's get weird. Shout out Courtney. P Gang is here eating raw chicken and butter right now.
Nice.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Sandy, thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, Sandy's here. Says let's go. Never heard of butter fuel. Do you guys eat it raw? No, we're carnivores.
You could say we're old-fashioned carnivores.
Yeah. We believe in animal foods. Sup, G's, Perspicacity Club. What's up, man?
What's up? PJing. Pasteurizing anything seems stupid to me now, but especially butter. I mean, yeah, we actually like prefer raw dairy. Jonas was told by a doctor he would die at 22 from cancers and their treatments of it. Do you know P-Gang, Scott?
Yeah, he's one of my Discord admins.
Oh, nice. Addition to Aajonus' stories, after drinking the raw milk and carrot juice, it took him a handful of years into the 70s before he tried raw meats and went fully raw diet. Daniel, thanks for joining. But the raw milk reverses his juices and cancers. So yeah, he seems like another good source of Aajonus information.
DHSS. Yeah.
P-Gang, how are we? Nick the Lightbringer. The first year of the diet is a roller coaster of fatigue and rebounds of health beyond prior comprehension. It sounds like you had a similar experience there, Scott.
Yeah, but I set myself up like in a bad position. Like if I knew what I knew now, I could have avoided so much pain and suffering. I'd be in a completely different position in life right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
part of my journey was. Sorry, the neighbor's being loud. Basically, I was on the diet for 2 years before I actually understood how to do it properly and have the mindset and gain some sense of health to even be capable of doing the diet. So I was so like fatigued before I couldn't even make enough money to afford the diet. And then right when I was ready to get amazing results, like 6 weeks went by, I was making awesome progress. I felt so much better. I became homeless, and then I couldn't do the diet at all. So then there's been circumstances of that and learning how to do the diet properly while living in a car. And as you can see now, I'm not homeless right now. But yeah, if I knew what I knew now, I'd be a different person right now, because the potential of health is, most people have no idea how healthy you could even be and what it even look like. Like you could feel so amazing and have so much energy.
So it's like moldy raspberries, something that actually gets eaten after like you do after a while on the raw diet.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. Final boss stage. You want to do it after you're on the diet for at least 2 years, because you have to become really strong first. I did it while I was already kind of weak.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You have to get fat before you do it, because the fat provides extra nutrients to handle the detox.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! So it's actually like some sort of a test.
It's like a ritual, yeah, or like.
Well, it's like if you take it too early, you're not going to have enough nutrients to handle it. You know, it can cause more damage. You detox too hard, the toxins get broken down and you can't absorb it. They cause additional damage. So some people, actually a lot of people try to follow the Primal diet. They don't know what they're doing. They make a mistake and they cause a strong detox, and they actually set themselves back further. And then they blame the diet, but really it was their lack of understanding and then making a mistake. And I don't want to scare anybody into doing the diet. The main thing is, don't try to cut any corners. Don't try to force it to happen too fast. Don't force your detox. Let it happen naturally. And follow the routines in the book without stray.
I see.
Otherwise recommends.
Interesting. So it sounds like it's one of the pathways to try to detox yourself as much as you can from all the from the toxins from the environment.
Yeah, but the first 2 years you want to focus on getting stronger before you detox, like gaining weight, and your body is going to start breaking down. Like every cell in our body on a cooked diet is deficient because all cooked food is deficient. So when you're starting the diet, there's going to be a lot of adjustments that happen inside of your body. Like a lot of people just become new people. Like they think differently, they're more clear, and like problems they had in the past, which they had no idea was even related to health, just magically go away, like in their social life or their personality. And so the first 2 years, you just want to focus on getting stronger, and then you can start detoxing harder. But the beginning of the diet, what you want to do is you want to get fat, and you want to take a lot of hot baths, and that's a good way to detox, because when you're sweating it out of the body, you don't have to use tons of nutrients to break it down. It's safe. Unless you go for a super long time, then you start melting the plastic, and poisons that have accumulated for years and high concentrations are going to come out. So unless you're fat, you don't take a hot bath longer than 40 minutes, because you're going to start melting some really fucking potent toxins. And if you don't have the fat, it can damage you further. So you have to have the fat to do long baths. 40-minute baths is completely fine. But, like if you have the molds, the long baths, anything like that, you don't want to push the detox too hard.
Yeah. Could you get like the same benefits from just like going into a sauna? Does it have to be a bath?
No, sauna does not do the same thing. So on a long-term perspective, the sauna actually damages the lungs and mucous membranes. So it's going to thin your mucus, which might help you breathe better. But the mucus is actually removing toxins from the body. So if you decrease your mucus production, you're not going to be able to process some of those toxins, because the mucus, it coats the tissue to prevent it from being damaged from the toxins being removed. If you don't have that mucus, it's going to irritate your noses. You're going to have allergies. So like if you have allergies, one of the best things you can do is drink lots of raw milkshakes, because that recipe increases your mucus production, which coats the toxins, it protects the tissue, and then the irritation goes away.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, the comments are going ham, so I don't think we can read all of them.
Yeah.
You guys are having a discussion.
How many viewers do we have?
8 currently.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. We went up to 10 for a sec.
I think I saw a question somewhere around here.
Yeah. Oh, the comment said chemicals are in everything. Yeah, we live in such a toxic environment. It's incredibly overwhelming just learning how to navigate that. And I can already see some people saying like, oh, do you take a hot bath? But like, what about the water, right? Like, what about the toxins in the water? Like, you have to make sure it's filtered or something. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I guess you do.
You put raw milk and apple cider vinegar and sea salt or Epsom salt in the bath. You let it sit for 10 minutes, and the vinegar is going to break down the toxins, and then the milk absorbs it and prevents it from damaging your body. So you put that in the bath 10 minutes before you get in, and then the water won't hurt you.
Wow, there you go. Even that's taken into consideration.
One of the comments on the screen was Ryan, I think it was. He was saying like there's chemicals and everything, like there's cyanide in apples. I'm talking about industrial chemicals, not like natural chemicals. When I say chemicals, I mean like pollution. It's like highly processed,
synthetic, man-made.
Yeah.
So then a nerd's always going to say water is a chemical. Like, okay, man.
I mean, yeah, technically true, but I guess we share like a similar stance in supplements. I've been doing carnivore diet for 5 years, and I haven't really taken any supplements. But primarily because the carnivore diet kind of made me realize that my health is actually just purely driven by the quality of food. And that could be just like actually cooked meat, right?
Will you go through your eating routine?
Sorry?
Will you go through your eating routine?
It's pretty basic, ground beef and eggs, some steak here and there, pork every once in a while.
Butter?
Butter? Yeah, of course. I have a bunch of
Milk?
butter. Sorry?
Milk? Raw milk?
Yeah. We usually get raw goat's milk from a farmer, but then this winter she had to put a baby in her goats, so she cut us off. But we'll probably restart that. The other raw milk place that it's like an hour drive away, so we don't get it that often. It's just every once in a while.
You're in Massachusetts?
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
I can help you find milk.
I
I'm
mean,
really good at finding farms.
Sure, absolutely. It's always good to work together on something like this. And local eggs. That's pretty much kind of like those are the
Do you ever
foods.
do raw eggs or do you cook it all?
Generally always cooked.
Do you have cheese?
Every once in a while.
Meat, eggs, dairy, seafood. That's pretty much it. Like in an umbrella.
So you do not touch fruit?
As a dessert. So like maybe it's a Friday night. I want something sweet. I have a bit, some strawberries here and there. Yeah. I guess you cut off there for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What did you say?
There's a delay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you said you have fruit occasionally as a dessert?
As a dessert, yeah, every once in a while. Maybe like on the weekends if I want something sweet, a treat.
Yeah. On rare occasion.
Yeah.
Do you drink water?
Oh yeah. We actually just started. Probably around half a gallon to a gallon. Not always a gallon, but half a gallon.
Would you guys be open to small additions to your diet that doesn't really feel like you're changing anything, but it can make a difference?
Sure. Yeah.
So, do you have any interest in making your own cheese?
We've done it once.
Yeah, we've done it in the past, just like soft cheese.
Yeah.
I
guess you could say we're open to it.
Yeah. So, do you do salt water or pure water?
Pure water. Sometimes in the mornings, because we normally go to the gym in the mornings. Having salt in your water actually it's pretty good for our workout.
Yeah, electrolytes.
Yeah, and also the water he drinks is RO water. I mean, I'm drinking filtered water currently.
I'm trying to come up with a plan that has like. I'm assuming you want to avoid most plant foods, right? Or no? Like, what are your ideas with that?
I mean, plant foods. I've been doing this for 5 years. I really see no need. I've been able to bulk up, cut, put on muscle, and not get sick at all for the past 5 years.
What about honey?
Honey, we have access to local honey. Actually, one of the farmers that we know, we bought a jar of raw honey from them.
Would you put lemon juice in some water with honey and try drinking that during the workout and see how your performance is?
It sounds delicious. But
it's like lemonade. Yeah, because that will afford the electrolytes, and then you're getting a little like glucose with the honey. But the honey is mainly enzymes if it's actually unheated. It'd basically be a similar thing to the salt, but from the perspective of the primal diet, salt can cause harm. Well, if you're on a cooked diet, it actually can be beneficial on a cooked diet, but on a raw diet, it's actually bad to have salt.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could try. Honestly, a lot of my performance in the gym, it really depends on how many calories I'm eating for that day. So I can see like if I'm having calories during a workout, it's gonna help. Usually when I'm cutting, I feel so drained. But if I'm bulking, man, I feel like I could do 3-hour sessions.
Are you bulking right now?
No, I'm actually just starting a cut to get ready.
Okay, so I was about to say something that was going to make you gain weight. It's called the lubrication formula. The lubrication formula, it digests fat in a different way that stores it inside the muscle. So it really helps with your recovery and it makes the muscles have a really big, like full muscle belly. So it's going to help you stay really pumped. But really what it's going to do is it's going to make you very flexible and recover very fast and lubricated. And you drink that while you eat your meat. But it makes you gain weight. But you also put on shitloads of muscle too.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's basically butter, lemon, honey, and eggs, and you melt that and blend it, and you don't even need much. Like if you had this is 8 ounces. If you had 8 ounces of it, that's going to be like 700 calories right there.
Butter, lemon, honey, eggs.
Lemon, butter, honey, and eggs. So you fill it a little over halfway with eggs. Then you do if you're doing 8 ounces, you're going to use like a small lemon with the juice. You do a tablespoon of honey, fill the rest of the way with raw and salted butter, never frozen. You screw an oyster blade blender lid on it. And then that's because you don't want to blend any air into it. It'll oxidize the nutrients. And you melt that gently. You blend it, and it tastes like Greek yogurt. It's delicious, actually. So
Nice.
Yeah. Is there a purpose to the lime juice?
The lemon juice. The lemon juice changes the way that the butter is utilized. So if you didn't have the lemon juice, your internal organs would take more of that fat. It's like your heart, liver, kidney, spleen. But if you have the lemon juice, it causes the fat to primarily go into the connective tissue, joints, muscles.
Interesting.
I wonder why that is. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Potentially something to include for the next bulk, right? Usually during the summer, I do want to be the leanest, and then once we get into the fall and winter, that's when I actually start bulking up. Yeah, something to consider. I like it.
What about you, Anderson?
Yeah. I need to get serious about my cut just for the summer.
Yeah, he also wants to cut for the summer, right?
Yeah, man. I mean,
you'd be interested in doing like a 30-day run of raw food or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open to trying it at some point. Just not sure when, but we just spent like the last few months bulking too. Pretty much it's like fall.
What are your guys' numbers? What are your favorite exercises?
I'm primarily leg dominant, so I'm pretty good with squats and deadlifts. The back too. Bench is my weakest.
Like, what are your numbers?
So deadlift, we've done like 405 for around 1 rep, of course. But we normally train around like the 350-pound range for like 4 to 6 reps. When you're talking about deadlifts or squats, it's less than that, maybe 325 to 350. I think we one repped 350 once. But once you get to the bench, man, we just after this bulk, we finally did 225, which is
Have you ever tried weighted dips?
Oh yeah.
Weighted dips is like my favorite pushing exercise.
Yeah.
I'm through a bodybuilding phase. I'm not in condition right now, but I used to be. I wasn't as strong as you guys, but I was still obsessed.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. We enjoy it.
I was good at the dips, better than I was at benching, so I could do a 45-pound dip for 7 reps, full range of motion.
Nice. Yeah. That's tough, man. Yeah, once you put that 45-pound plate,
I would be so hyped. I'd be listening to my death metal, and I'd beat my chest. I was the loudest one in the gym.
Nice.
I didn't give a shit. I was loud. I was hyped up. I drink a lot of coffee too. So.
Yeah. Coffee as a pre-workout.
So is coffee like strictly prohibited in the diet? Like it's probably just like super poison, right?
Yeah, it's not a good thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Basically, it has lead and arsenic in it, which is nerve irritants. And even if you consume coffee raw, which I've tried, it gave me tooth pain. I tried to make a recipe. So the Primal diet, you don't have nuts or seeds by themselves because they have anti-nutrients. But if you blend it with fat, you blend it into a powder, you mix it with fat. The fat absorbs the anti-nutrients in the nuts. Then you can get like the starch out of the nuts, which has some benefits. So I was like, okay, let me replace the nut with coffee, raw coffee. And I had this big bag of it unroasted, and I blended that with it. And then I was eating that for coffee, and I was getting horrible tooth pain, And I used to love drinking coffee. I even still like the smell, but it's also addictive,
Oh yeah,
so
it is.
I was addicted, and having withdrawals from coffee sucks. And things that you can get physically addicted to, I just don't necessarily consider to be good things. Like for me, if I had coffee right now, I would be high as fuck. Coffee makes me go bonkers, and it's like it's crazy. Like when I compare coffee and marijuana. It's like a lot of people will drink coffee every day, but they don't like marijuana, but they're on coffee to me is like a hardcore drug. Like for me, that will fucking make me go nuts. You know what I mean? And I get withdrawals from it too, but that doesn't necessarily happen with weed. I don't like fucking get headaches if I quit and like get sick.
Yeah.
I don't smoke. I eat it raw.
Wait, what? You eat the weed raw?
Yeah, I discovered about 10 months ago.
No way that works.
Yeah. About 10 months ago, Raw Fat God on Instagram sent me a transcript of Aajonus mentioning that if you chew the marijuana for a long time, there's an enzyme in the saliva called tyalin, which breaks down carbohydrate. And if you chew it long enough, it starts breaking down the THCA and it starts decarbing it and it activates it. And then so you just chew it for like 5 to 10 minutes really aggressively. You swallow it and you get high, like identical to an edible, but cleaner and more clear. And there's no down to it. It's really smooth. And it's like, I don't have any guilt really for consuming it. Smoking, it's like I'm smoking. It's harmful, Yeah. And if like I'm on a raw diet, I'm cooking the weed and eat it. I used to cook the marijuana bud and eat it with butter. And I'm cooking something. I'm not supposed to be cooking something. But now the weed, there might be pesticides in it. I try to get the organic option at the dispensary. If it gives me a headache, I don't do it. If I take it, I have no problems from it. I consider it to be okay as long as I'm responsible.
Wow, that's
yeah.
Dude, because you always hear like you need the heat to.
It doesn't work for everybody though. It works only on like 40-50% of people that try it. It's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it doesn't work for some people.
That's insane.
Interesting. So 5 to chew to 5 to 10 minutes, you say then?
5 to 10, yeah. And if you chew too much,
grab a bud. You just grab a bud and like
it doesn't. Like, you don't want to do too much. You get so fucked up if you do too much.
Bud is a lot. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's another thing. If you chew too much, it doesn't work at all because you can only decarb so much marijuana for the amount of saliva that you have. So if you have too much, you can't produce enough saliva to break it down. So if you wanted to get like really stoned, you eat it, swallow it, and then eat a second serving and then swallow it. But usually it's like you have like 0.25 grams and you'll be stoned for like 7 hours. So if you're smoking, you're wasting your money. You're only high for like an hour and then you kind of feel like shit after. You know what I mean? Like if you chew the marijuana, you'd be high for like 6 hours. So, and you don't like get sick. Like smoking can make you sick,
Yeah.
You makes you more paranoid if you smoke it versus eat it raw. It's a much more smooth experience.
Yeah, I like this comment. Chewing any plant is the natural method if you think of how ancient humans would have tested it. I mean, I think that makes sense. You chew tobacco.
True.
And you probably chew like cocaine leaves, right? Get a buzz from that.
Sugar cane, man.
you chew sugar cane, and then someone came and like refined the sugar cane and made this nice white powder. Put it in Coke, so that poop is next, right? Organic pesticide. But hey, so I do want to ask you, because in the carnivore space, you hear a lot about the reason we don't need plants, we don't eat them. It's because of the anti-nutrients, which like different people have different tolerances to them. So I personally I don't feel like too much of an adverse effect. I can handle them, but I don't see the need for them. So what's like your perspective on anti-nutrients in plants? And are they necessary? Like, it sounds like, obviously the emphasis is strongly on animal foods. You need meat, you need the dairy, and raw eggs. And obviously that's super nutrient dense and hugely beneficial for humans. But yeah, I'm just wondering your thoughts on plants in that perspective.
So the issue is mainly with vegetable fiber. Usually the fruit fiber isn't a problem for most people, maybe some people, but the real problem is in the vegetable fiber. That's why we juice them, because the anti-nutrients stay inside the fiber. And I don't have any studies, I don't have any science, but the problems that people get don't really come with the vegetable juice. So I've spoken with 300, 400, 500 people about on the internet about the diet. Only one person out of everybody was unable to tolerate the vegetable juice. So that's like a 0.05% population. I don't know. And that guy literally could not have it. It fucked him up if he drank it. So the vegetable juice is important on a raw diet because without it, you're going to lose your appetite and you're not going to be able to eat the raw meat. And that's because when you start eating the raw foods, your body starts detoxing. And generally speaking, you detox without symptoms because you're getting enough nutrients to handle it. But if you're not eating enough food or the right foods, then you can start to get more symptoms because the symptoms results largely from nutrient deficiencies. So if you had more nutrients, you wouldn't have the symptoms because you could have more total energy to work with inside the body, and then you wouldn't be deficient. So if you're eating correctly on the diet, doing it well, usually you're not going to get a detox right away. So as you detox, the blood gets more acidic. And as it gets more acidic, you lose your appetite. And the vegetables, the celery juice, plants alkalize the body. So we have mainly celery juice with carrot. And we drink it in between meals, small amounts at a time, like cup. And we don't have it within an hour of raw meat because the vegetable juice is alkaline and this meat requires an acidic stomach to break down. So if you drink vegetable juice, you're not going to process meat for an hour. So the whole vegetables, they will alkalize the digestive tract. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're back.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The whole vegetables will alkalize your digestive tract for 24 hours. So if you eat a salad, you're not going to digest raw meat for 24 hours. So we don't have the whole vegetables. It causes problems. And like I said about the nuts and seeds, the anti-nutrient can be absorbed by breaking it down into powder and having it with the nut formula, the raw fat. And that absorbs the anti-nutrients. So what can be a problem is sugar, lots of sugar, because sugar has a toxic waste product and also it's an inefficient fuel that causes you to be emotional and lose your train of thought. So in regards to fruit, we eat all of our fruit unripe, like as the most ripe possible. So like the green banana, like it can't be so ripe that you can't peel it, but like it's green, green papayas. And that's because as the fruit ripens, the enzymes convert into sugar. So unripe fruit has more enzymes, less sugar. So it's more beneficial. And also we have equal amounts of raw fat with our fruit to absorb the waste product of sugar, which is called AGEs, which ages the body. And
advanced medication end products. Yeah.
So if you have the fruit ripe without fat on this diet, especially, you become emotional, irrational, short-tempered. But if you have it unripe and you eat it with fat, for the most part, you can still stay level-headed, but you don't eat it in the morning because then you're going to build your energy off of the sugar. You want to build your energy from the protein of meat and eggs. So on this diet, we have little bits of fruit because the sugar converts into alcohol inside the body to be used as a solvent. So it doesn't get you drunk, but what it does is it helps break down toxicity. So technically our diet is supposed to be 5% carbohydrate because if I remember correctly, the energy source in our body is produced from 80% fat, 15% protein, 5% sugar. And 5% of the enzymes in our saliva is the ptyalin enzyme, ptyalin, which breaks down carbohydrate. So we do need a little bit of sugar, but your body can also convert protein into sugar, so you don't have to have sugar directly. But the fruit is mainly to help detox the body because different fruits help break down different toxins in the body. So like for autism, we do moldy raspberries because the raspberries break down the toxin that develops autism. So like you got the communication section of your brain, language section, and you have a specific toxin store there that determines the mental illness that you have, where it stores and what kind of toxin it is. So the moldy raspberries help break down the toxin that causes autism in the brain. But you got to be on the diet, you got to be fat, and you take one little piece a day. And Aajonus claims that autism will reverse in 2 years, 3 years, maybe 1 year. And he has some really amazing stories with that. And a lot of people bring up there's no proof, there's no studies, it's just random claims. But what I have to say about that is I have spent so much time studying him. I've met like 8-9 people who knew him personally. I trust this man. And in my experience, he's always right. When I listen to him, it works. When I don't listen to him, I end up regretting it. And I just spent so much time thinking about him. And it's become a really important part of who I am. And, people call me religious. They call me dogmatic. I say, so what? It's how it works. It's how you get results. It's like if you're an athlete and you're always questioning what your coach is telling you to do, are you a good what's the word?
Yeah, a good apprentice.
Yeah. Are you a good athlete if you can't listen to your coach? Yeah. If you question everything he's doing, are you wasting your time? You listen to the master, you do what he says. Like if you're following a weightlifting program, you can't combine programs and like add your own stuff and mess with it because it's made the way it is for a certain reason. And then you might try to do it your own way, and then you don't get good results. And then so, what I've learned is, even if I don't understand it, I listen to Aajonus because it works. And it's worked so many times repeatedly to where I feel stupid if I don't listen to him. So I just have gained basically unconditional trust with him. And like, yes, there's room for improvement, but the room for improvement is never going to impede on the foundational core principles. So a lot of people try to change the very foundation of it. But yes, you can come up with more efficient ways of doing things. And there's also he talked about mostly health via food. Then I talked more about the lifestyle, the spiritual side of things. Like he used to talk about the spirituality earlier on, but he got away from it because I guess it looked bad. But, there's important lifestyle practices and habits, which he didn't really go into large detail in. So that's where I see most of the room for improvement with our lifestyles. Because if you do the diet, but have an unhealthy lifestyle, you're still not going to be happy. You're still not going to be fulfilled. The purpose of the diet is to give you the health to make you competent enough to live a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah. And, man, you make so many good points. And, as carnivores ourselves, the main reason we're doing this, right, trying to spread the message of like a carnivore diet, is just because we keep on seeing so many anecdotes of people who are healing these chronic conditions that, were supposedly, there was no cure, they have to be on a treatment for the rest of your life, whether that's, digestive or respiratory or even mental or like just chronic inflammation. Like you're seeing people recover from all these chronic issues by just like virtually cutting out all plant foods and just eating animal meats. So, clearly there's something going on there. And
it's definitely an improvement.
Yeah. So there's a lot of overlap with what it is you're saying. And, there's going to be some differences, but I think it's just important to keep an open mind, because there is no science, right? But there's just a bunch of anecdotes. So clearly there's something there. And, there could be many reasons why carnivore diet works, many reasons why primal diet works. I guess primal Aajonus, because some other people have different interpretation of primal diet. I think there's definitely something to do with just like the nutrient density of animal foods. They're high in, any meat you grab is going to be high in many minerals, zinc or selenium, which as far as I know, they're like detoxifying nutrients. And then the animal fat clearly plays a big role in mental health and just like maybe buffering some of that toxicity. I feel like science hasn't really done a good job in discovering like the role of fat.
Will still help absorb the toxins. It can still protect you.
Yeah. So there's clearly something going on with the animal fat, and so I understand why you might lead to the conclusion of like, if some of it is good, then you must have it raw to maximize it. Which nothing against raw food. I think like there's we're the only animals.
Why Aajonus says cooking is harmful?
Maybe we can dive into that. Give us your thoughts.
So the first thing I would say is that cooking cauterizes the minerals. So if you take like wet clay and you cook it, it turns into a hard rock. And that's what happens with the minerals when you cook it. So if you take milk and you pasteurize it, the calcium becomes like 3 times harder to utilize. And I don't remember the exact details, but it's harder to utilize and it takes more to do the same job, and it creates weaker bones. And then there's the deal with the enzymes. It destroys the enzymes. And I'll explain that experiment that, what's his name? I have my notes. Edward Howell, yeah. Edward Howell did an experiment with rats. He had one group of rats eat raw, one group eat cooked. And so the cooked food rats lived just as long as the raw food rats, but they developed all the same diseases that a man would. But he noticed that the cooked food rats were eating their own shit. So what he did is he restarted the experiment with the cooked food rats being on a clear screen. And maybe both rats were on a screen, I don't know. But without them being able to eat their own poop, they had all the same diseases, and they lived 1/3 less. And so essentially, the feces supplied them with enzymes, so they could recycle their enzymes. So the conclusion of that is that an enzyme deficiency decreases your lifespan. So the reason that they didn't live as long, they took away their own poop, is because they didn't have the enzymes. So there's also the idea of like, we cook our food because the bacteria is harmful. You know, that's, if you ask somebody why we cook our meat, a lot of people say because the bacteria is harmful. And, you know, Aajonus teaches there's no such thing as bad bacteria. And the bacteria they consider bad, yeah, it's going to make you sick. Yeah, it's going to give you symptoms, but sickness is a detox. It's an important process to go through. If you don't break down those toxins, it's going to accumulate into a disease instead. So like a sickness is like, generally speaking, it's a temporary process. We're having symptoms like coughing, sneezing, vomit, diarrhea, or fever. And a disease is more like just long-term accumulation. And so losing my train of thought a little bit.
Yeah.
Need some more protein. What that means is, so if you're losing your train of thought, that means you have a protein deficiency in your brain. And what you do is you suck a raw egg, and then you'll think clearly in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to suck an egg right now.
Nice. You got an egg handy there? Oh, there we go.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. I mean, I'm
dent in the hole. Fat side, it has the dent. Pointed side has the hole. Yes, the bacteria being bad. So
wait, that was it?
No, I'm not done. I'm going to sip on it.
I'm like, what?
Nice. That was a.
No, I enjoy it for a minute or two. So, you know, technically there is no bad bacteria. The bacteria that is considered bad just starts dissolving toxins. And the toxins are the problem, not the bacteria.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
People will mention food poisoning. You get food poisoning from industrial chemicals and also cooked food, which mutates the bacteria. So if you cook food and then let it sit out, then it rots. And then the bacteria mutates and develops a toxic waste product, which causes food poisoning. So it's not necessarily the bacteria that's the problem, it's the cooking. So like if you cooked meat and let it sit out for a week and then you ate it, you'd get really sick, you know. But if you do that with raw meat, then you have high meat and it makes you feel great. And I guess not everybody knows what the high meat is. Do you know what the high meat is?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
no.
it's like like slightly rotten, like fermented, if
I'll
you
show
will.
you.
Also
Yeah,
got some
so-
high meat handy with him.
So here's a question. Like I'm just, I mean, like say you're, you know, so I understand you have to eat all the meat raw, but it has to be fresh too. I mean, like
Not frozen yet.
never frozen. So it's cool if you put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
So I don't
man.
want to open it because it'll fucking stink the whole place up really bad. But that's 3 months old, room temperature. The same one, but it's a little fermented differently.
that's very deep in the rabbit hole,
Nice.
bro. So when you eat that, like you get a buzz, but then you also get sick, right? Like you're
No, you don't get
detoxifying.
sick. Well,
Okay.
if you eat a lot of it, so 1 second.
So he's got a special bag for it. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta know which bag has the high meat.
So it doesn't make you sick every time you eat it. Every single time you get these bacteria, you don't automatically get sick. If it's mold, it can make you sick. The high meat, I've given the high meat to about 18 people on a cooked diet. And nobody had a problem the first time they ate it. like 2 or 3 of them ate it 2 times in a row, like 2 days in a row, 2 times within the same week. They got a cold, and that lasted like 3 or 4 days. They just felt a little under the weather. They still felt happier, but they were also tired at the same time. So the people who only ate it once had no symptoms. And what it does is you're introducing the bacteria, starts detoxing toxins, starts breaking down the toxins, dissolving them, and you get symptoms because the toxins flowing through your body and trying to be removed.
Yeah. So when you get sick, when you get a cold, like, how do you help that? Because if the like the phlegm and all of that is like your body detoxifying all the bad things, and it's in your interest to be like spitting that out as much as you can, right? Like,
so when you have a cold, what you do is you avoid red meat and you have white meat instead, because red meat is going to make you more acidic and it's going to make the detox more intense. The chicken is more soothing and it doesn't raise your acidity. And during this period, you actually generally avoid the vegetable juice and you increase your raw dairy, the raw fat. Have milkshakes, smoothies, lubrication formulas, like the butter recipe I told you about for the bodybuilding. And you have the chicken. And you take a lot of hot baths to help sweat it out. So that's what you do during a cold or a flu.
Gotcha. But wait, I wanted to ask you before about when we're talking about cooked food. So in this diet, it's never frozen. So are you just like, are you frequently hitting up your farmer then, and like how do you manage to always get like never frozen?
It's very rare that you're going to find fresh meat from a farmer, unless they're set up for it. Like if you live in Pennsylvania, easy. But you can just go to a butcher. There's plenty of great butchers in every single city. I've done a lot of traveling. There's fresh meat almost everywhere. The only place that didn't have fresh meat was this small population town, and but an hour away they had fresh meat. So you could go. You can get it once a week, and it stays good for a week about.
Okay. Yeah, because mainly like a farmer would have to process their cows, chickens, or whatever through a processing facility. And those facilities always freeze it right away once they're done cutting.
And they use chemicals, and they don't let you take the organs.
Yeah.
The liver and heart.
They do something with the cow's brain, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't get all the good stuff.
They take away the good stuff. If
a farm is going to sell fresh beef, they have to have a lot of customers to where they can sell a whole cow every month.
Yeah. So so it's hard. So I guess like,
how does the butcher get around it? It's my question. Does like the farmer sell to the butcher and then the butcher kind of just
well, they usually go to a USDA processor, and then a lot of processors will give it to you fresh. It's just some dumb ones that won't. You just always go to a different one. They're all over the place. But what's preferable is that you can do a custom slaughter and you butcher it yourself in your backyard.
Yeah, that would be, I guess, the ideal scenario when you get hands-on yourself. You're doing it.
What you could do is you could find a farmer and convince them to let you butcher one of their sheep or goats once a month.
Yeah, without sounding like a crazy person. Hey, let me get in on that sheep.
Dude, I've asked my farmer and she turned me down, but dude, that should be a service, man.
Game. It's a numbers game. It's like sales.
Yeah, that should be a thing in my opinion, bro. Like,
you got to cold call a lot of farmers.
Yeah, I should be able to go to a farm and like, if I do it there and then and there, like, or just take it home and do it, like, I should be able to just eat that, man. But
actually, I think Dylan from Love Farms Cape Cod, I think he's down for us to be more involved when it comes time for his pigs. I think he's mentioned that.
Yeah, we should reach out to him about that. But okay, so fresh meat, and it's cool if you put it in the fridge, just never frozen, because frozen will kill some of the enzymes and
make
bacteria.
Sure your fridge has no EMF though.
Okay.
So like Wi-Fi?
Important. Very fucking important. You gotta have one of these. The EMF meter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Aajonus also talks about EMFs, or is this?
Yeah, this is very important.
Man, he covers everything. There's too much information.
Me and my roommate sleep in the same room because his bedroom back there has hella EMF. So we just sleep on the floor in this room.
Well, hey, you should look into like using magnets to kind of build like a
shield around you.
A shield, yeah, an EMF shield. We've seen some of that, or even using like copper wires for like.
This is an EMF pillow. You put this under a pillow and you sit on it, and it has magnets in it made in a specific way that basically neutralizes the EMF. So you can put it on your wall if you have high EMF, but it's still sketchy. But it's made for a car, so you sit on it while you drive. So like when I drove from St. Louis to Tennessee, where I am now, I felt like my leg was sore. I felt like I worked out, and that's the EMF damaging my cells. And I drove halfway back to St. Louis and came back and I had no leg pain with this EMF pillow. So there's a guy named Mr. Milk Jar, Matt. He makes these and you can buy it from him. But like in regards to like the EMF clothing, I don't like that because I don't want to get that lint in the air. I don't want metal particles in the air that I'm breathing, you know. So it's just really sketchy. Even if it reduces the EMF, I don't want to breathe those particles.
Yeah.
In regards to the refrigerator, we for the refrigerator we only use the freezer. We make ice every day. We put the ice in the cooler because the fridge has high EMF. So we prepare ice twice a day for our cooler for our food. And we put a little bit of water in the cooler so it dilutes the ice so it doesn't get too cold so we can get the right temperature. Because we don't want the EMF. Like when I came here, I ran out of milk and I drank his refrigerator milk that has been blasted by EMFs. It gave me diarrhea every time I ate it, every time I drank it. And we got some new milk from the same guy and I didn't put it in the fridge. Then I drank it, no problem.
Interesting.
Wow, that's.
Yeah, that's new to me because right, you know, that's like a new concept, and I always use my fridge, and I don't go through these EMF strikes, or I'm not aware of it, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so with the cooked food, you know, there's other stuff that it does to it. Like if you take a raw fat molecule under a microscope and you look at it, it's very dense. But if you cook it, it makes it swollen. It makes it really big. And so what that does is if you get fat in cooked food, it's bigger. You look bigger. There's more volume to it. If you get fat in raw food, you can have the same weight, but look leaner because the fat molecules are more dense. And also cooked food will create more cellulite stretch marks because that's a lack of utilizable fat, creating the healthy skin. So in raw fat, you're not really going to get that as much. You still can, but if you detoxed enough and then you got fat, you won't have those stretch marks, but you want to get fat right away. But over time, you know, as you detox, you're not going to have those problems because you become much healthier. And so the cooked fat is really hard to break down for energy. So if you get fat in cooked food, you might become lazy. If you get fat in raw food, you know, yeah, it's harder to exercise and run. But the thing is, when you're sitting still, you feel way better. You know, I feel much more calm, much more relaxed, much more grounded and clear mentally. Yeah, like I can't jump as high on my rollerblades. You know what I mean? Hiking is a little bit more hard. But other than that, I feel a lot better when I'm fat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, is there a body fat percentage that you think that kind of allows you that you should have in order to be strong or healthy to tolerate the
I'd say 25% is pretty good.
25%. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get real fat. Gotta get real fat.
That is real fat.
It helps tremendously. If you do the diet and you're not getting fat, you're gonna have slow progress. You get fat, it changes everything right away. It changes everything. And so many people tell me they can't gain weight, but the thing is they don't know how. It's not only about consuming calories. Like you can eat the recipes that cause weight gain. You can eat the same amount of calories in other foods and not gain the weight. So there's a certain way you can approach it that causes more weight to be gained. So basically the milkshakes cause the most weight gain out of anything. And the lubrication formulas also help with weight gain, but the milkshakes are better. So if you eat foods by themselves, they digest faster and are used for energy immediately. if you have the foods blended together in combination, it's harder to break down for energy, so the body stores it more as fat. And so if you want to gain weight, you have foods in combination. So like if I'm eating to gain weight, I'll have a little less energy because I'm spending so much time digesting this food because I'm so full. So if I'm eating to gain weight, I'll take a nap every day because I'm just so fucking full. But the fat really makes a big difference in how I feel.
Wow, yeah, that's
before I rarely laughed and smiled, and then when I got fat, I was laughing all the time and smiling all the time because I was much more. My body was fed; it actually had enough nutrients to process everything, so I was much more calm and relaxed and felt better in every way.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think just throughout the whole year, I mean, traditionally people would go like naturally through growth cycles and then cycles of like leaning out just because of like availability of food and seasonality. So I think that's very interesting, and obviously like there's you feel good like when you're eating a lot, like it's pleasurable, and when you're cutting, like you get it's not necessarily healthy, right? And you can really mess yourself up if you do it like irresponsibly. Right. So there's a discussion going on in the comments. From Courtney, she was, I think she was asking before about you were mentioning like the vegetable fibers. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the comment. I'm not saying people wouldn't want to add veg for flavor, that I get, but I was asking why, if there's a belief that the vegetable fiber impedes digestion and absorption, then why eat them together? And
because the vegetables are alkaline and the meat requires acidity to digest. But you can have like a salad with cooked meat because the cooked meat is super acidic. The salad can balance that out, which I don't really completely understand, because if you have the raw meat without vegetable juice, you lose your appetite. But people can eat cooked meat all day by itself and not lose appetite. So that's something I don't really fully understand.
Yeah, and the human stomach has the strongest stomach acid of any animal on Earth. Right? It's like a pH 1.
Yeah, it's like
So it's pretty acidic. It's very acidic. So I mean, it doesn't matter if you're eating something acidic or eating something alkalinic. Your stomach acid is just gonna has its pH value.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point, and I guess that's yeah. But I think she was asking because you were saying if you're doing the celery juice, you want to have the meat and then the juice. You don't want to have them together. But then like it's cool if you have like some meat with the onions like cut into it.
The onions is going to alkalize you. If you have cooked meat, you can have a salad with it, no problem. But raw meat, you can't.
Okay. So it sounds like the rules change if you're eating cooked.
Yeah.
Like salt is good if you're eating cooked.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's
also,
complicated, man. Complicated.
Cooked food. Sorry, I got cheese going down my throat. Cooked food tastes bad if you don't add salt to it, because cooking destroys the flavor. So if you don't add salt, seasoning, the cooked meat tastes like horrible.
Yeah, and just to give my 2 cents on the whole like cooked versus raw, like I think it makes sense to argue like there's more nutrients in raw, but also like I think there's a spectrum of like if you take like food that's been like completely desiccated, right? Like people who are eating like these beef jerkies, or like they're eating like liver chips, which is becoming like super popular now. Like that's one end of the spectrum, like something that's been fully cooked, fully denatured, versus like raw, right? And then if I throw like a steak on the pan or the grill, then I've noticed, we've measured this. There's a weight loss. There's a loss in water weight. There's usually like 20 to 30% of weight will be lost after you cook something, and it's like, okay, you lose some water.
You also have to drink water if you cook it.
Yeah.
You don't typically need to drink water.
Right. Yeah. So you lose some of the water weight and potentially lose some of the water soluble nutrients, right? And then like you're eating less volume, which will fill you up less. Like 20 to 30% less. But like you're still getting like the same kinds of nutrients. Maybe you're not getting
something else too.
Yeah.
a lot of people will say that they're not satisfied with cooked food and they can eat more and more and more, but they eat raw food and they're satiated and satisfied and actually feel full. So like a lot of people overeat with the cooked foods.
Yeah, and I think like if it makes sense if you say like well you're eating like 20 to 30% more weight when you're eating it raw, then that could explain why people feel more satiated. Alternatively, if you do cooked, you could just drink more water.
Well, it's also because cooking damages the nutrients and it creates toxins inherently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So destroying some of the nutrients. I mean, like that's fair, and the toxins. Well, but then like,
I would say the best thing for you is just to try it and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other thing is like, I think I've mentioned this before, right? Cooking foods does it destroy nutrients? Well, it looks like if we just look across the entire population of everyone on Earth, generally people are cooking their foods, and you have children becoming adults, cooking foods, people growing tall, cooking foods, myself doing carnivore 5 years, added on muscle, gotten stronger, cooking foods. So it's not like it's pretty hard to say that the human outcome is negative when you cook foods. So it's just another something to think about.
Yeah, and I think again, like you might be getting like less net nutrients, right? But you're still getting like the same amount of nutrients. I mean, you're still getting the same kind of nutrients.
If you're already healthy, a lot of people can function off cooked food pretty well. If you're already healthy, a lot of people can function off cooked food pretty well. But like if you have some like serious illness, a lot of people just will never recover unless they eat raw. Like, you guys look like you're already healthy. You're doing good. Well, like I had this other guy.
Sure, we've got our issues.
Yeah, I had this guy on the phone yesterday who's having all sorts of problems, and like his doctor said he had Crohn's and he can't sleep, and he ate raw meat and he can sleep for the first time in years. He can sleep a full night and he feels way better, and like all his problems basically went away in 2 weeks. So that's one thing that happens a lot of the time. Like most of people's problems automatically go away when they start the primal diet. And I know a lot of people improve with the carnivore diet, but there's also a portion of people who don't do well with it, and then they find primal, then it's another level up.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes perfect sense. I think just like speaks to the powerful nature of animal foods more so than anything
I think that's
else.
That's a good point. I think that's what really matters, right? Because we hear the same arguments from people. Just like last week, we had shout out to Josh Ketry. He was experiencing multiple sclerosis symptoms, but he also had a friend, George. Same thing. It was his friend that actually went raw. He actually did it for 5 months. He told us through a comment, and then he did raw for 5 months, and then he got his MS symptoms taken care of. However, Josh, he was like more traditional carnivore, cooking foods, kind of same experience. Cured. He says he cured, and I believe him. He cured his MS symptoms, multiple sclerosis. So it's like I feel like it's just two different tools in the same domain, right? It's all comes from animals, comes from earth, comes from nature. So it's like you hear the same arguments, just two different methods, and I think there's value in that. People knowing that there's options, the two different routes.
Yeah, and still you can eat a very rare steak, which I think is my preference. But
the main thing I'm thinking is just wait until you try it, because you might feel better than you do now. You could change your mind.
That's fair.
Look,
and
if I'll 3 inches to my height or an inch, I'd be sold.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think
if you do try it, make sure you let me help you so I know you get good results, so you don't make mistakes.
Yeah. No, this we're gonna have to get you. You just become like the raw consultant on the podcast, because there's just so many things to talk about, and just like toxicity of the environment and all that. Like, man, like it's just too much to cover. But on the topic of cooked versus raw, I think also like I don't know, like I mean, I understand that there's it's very compelling when you bring up the experiment of the mice who ate raw versus cooked, and then there's also like I've heard of like Pottinger's cats, where they noticed like the degeneration, like even like 2-3 generations down the line, the cats were just getting like worse and worse off. But then like we're not mice and we're not rats, like we're not mice and we're not cats.
We still work pretty darn similarly.
Yeah, we still work pretty darn similarly.
One thing with that is the 5th generation of cats were completely impotent. They're infertile, and up until recently, just about everybody had raw dairy in their diets.
Yeah.
So it's the first time in a long time that somebody is 100% cooked. So my theory, just look at the rates of infertility.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Crazy. And if you I think people, if they keep going in the direction they are in the first world countries, like the third world countries, I think they're like 1-2 generations healthier than the first world countries. Like I spent time in Mexico. Everybody is like another level healthier than the average American. They're behind on all the chemicals. They're behind on all the.
They're behind. Yeah.
Yeah, they're more connected to nature.
But they're getting there. Like they're on track.
Yes, they're all healthier. They have healthier lifestyles. They're more in nature, less. So, but in the first world countries, it's like a lot of people just can't have kids, and it's only going up. And it's like my generation, my grandchildren it might be very hard for them to have kids. And like, I look at the kids these days, they all look so sick. Like their eyes are sunken in. They're so pale. They're spaced out. It's like, I read this thing that's like projected 2020, like 1 out of 3 kids is going to have autism or something. It's like only going up. It's like insane. So if you got to at least have raw milk. You gotta at least have raw milk. You have to have something raw in your diet other than like fruit or vegetables, because that's not gonna do shit. You gotta at least have raw milk.
Yeah. Animal foods, animal derived foods. Absolutely, I'm 100% supporter of that.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. I think that's completely fair. I love some raw eggs. Again, nothing against raw meat. I just I think the smell is appetizing. I can have a steak tartare here and there, and just really rare steak. Maybe like eating cooked ground beef all the time. Maybe that's something that should be minimized. I don't know. But definitely, like I think humans are built different than other animals, and also we talk a lot about
species that has diseases.
True.
Until we impeded on nature and gave them the diseases.
Well, I mean, the rise in diseases has pretty much happened in the past 100 years, right? And a bunch of new foods. Yeah, pollution. Seed oils, sugar, processed foods, ultra processed foods, trans fats. All these thoughts. Basically, manufactured foods. Also,
like the glyphosate. Like these deer, like they're eating GMO corn out of these fields that are sprayed heavily.
Yeah. The glyphosate is such a huge problem too, and it's such a practice that should be stopped right away. I don't know. People still haven't caught up to the glyphosate problem that we have.
Did you mention bees?
Bees?
Did you say bees?
No, I didn't say bees. No.
Okay. Because another thing is the chemtrails. Do you know about the chemtrails?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's geoengineering, and they're spraying aluminum and like barium, and they tell you what they're doing, but they say it's safe. But the thing is, no, they're spraying heavy metals on us, and like that's also decreasing the bee population.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically, that's polluting the food supply, right? Because where is that landing? Everywhere on the grass and
water and soil, man.
Here's the most important thing for any of us. If we're going to survive, we have to have our own food production, because everybody's dependent on just a few farms to produce all their food. If there's an economic collapse, hundreds of millions of people are going to fucking starve. So we need to work to produce our own food, like Joel Saladino?
Joel Salatin?
Joel Salatin,
yeah. He was saying that like there's this city in this one country that did an experiment with like chickens, where they gave chickens to families and they used their kitchen scraps. And he said like if 1 out of 3 families like if 3 families I forgot exactly what it was, but basically they didn't need to buy eggs anymore. The whole community produced their eggs based off of kitchen scraps.
Yeah.
So I fear economic collapse.
I mean, food sovereignty. We're also very pro food sovereignty, and are also like brainstorming ideas like how can we ourselves, become food sovereign. Like we've even talked about, breeding rabbits, right? Because they actually require a very small footprint.
I think one of the biggest things is getting away from the city, though, because if you're producing food and everybody around you is starving, they're gonna raid your shit.
Away civility.
Like even if you have money but you don't have the time to run a farm, you could literally buy a farm somewhere else and have somebody run it for you. Just have a backup emergency option. Like if you're gonna buy some real estate, buy a farm. Then you could have that person ship food to you, and then you can have free food for the rest of your life. It's like you get 50 acres, 25 acres. You hire somebody. It's like you get to live here, you get to run the farm. And they do it for free, but they're basically working for rent and free food, and they can ship you food every week. And they're not going to be a slave for you. It's all, if you're running a farm just to feed like 2 or 3 people, it's not a ton of work. It could just be like 1, 2, 3 hours every morning and every night. Farming it's not a lot of work if you're just feeding a few people, so.
Couple things, if anyone wants to learn more about the chemtrailing, I recommend the documentary called like What Are They Spraying in Our Air, something like that. It's on YouTube. That'll really bring you up to speed. And then, we talked to someone called Future 4200. I don't know, you might know him on Instagram, but, he's this guy who, he talks about how you can lease your own land and really like he raises just cattle for meat.
Greg Judy, do you know him?
Yeah, exactly.
I love Greg Judy.
Yeah, he's he talks about Greg Judy too.
It's like you can start a farm with no money. That's what he teaches you to do.
Exactly. Yeah, he pretty much says like he's got like I think like 10 cows.
Anyone can do it too.
Yeah, and he doesn't spend more than like 15-20 minutes per day just like tending to them. And he's leasing the land, like you don't even have to own it or pay for it, or like you can even get paid to like bring animals and graze them.
Yeah, you get paid like $1 per head of cattle every day.
To
something raise
like
other
that.
People's livestock.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're adding fertility to the land with the manure.
Exactly.
He's increasing the value of his soil and making money and getting experience.
Yeah, and then the cows will give you dairy and you'll give you meat and like, oh man.
Yeah,
There's
so this is
a lot of creative ways.
Starting a farm for me is number 1. So what I'm looking to do is to create a new community outside of nature. Outside in nature, outside of society. And I'm just sick of all the degeneracy of society. I don't like seeing all this bullshit every day. I don't want to have to see all the drama in the news and politics. I just want to live in nature with people I love. And I want to play music. I want to connect to animals and nature in general. I want to raise children. I want to practice martial arts. Like I want to drum. I'm a drummer. I want to meditate. I want to be in the sun. Like we could set up a lifestyle to where basically you work on the farm or whatever your particular skill is 3 to 5 hours a day. The rest of the time you do whatever the hell you want. Money is not even the concept. You just make sure that your food is made and you take care of your responsibilities. Some people are going to make clothes. Some people are going to make tools. We can do it with no dependence on society. Like, yeah, we can have computers and Wi-Fi, I guess. But the thing is, like, we need to set it up in a way to where if that goes away, we're not fucked, And so what I'm looking to do right now is put together a team that's going to come with me to Latin America to build a farm. Multiple farms, multiple locations, actually. And I already have a small team together, and we're working together to do this. But the thing is, we need numbers. If you have a small farm in the middle of nature, you could get raided. If society collapses, you could get raided, But if you have a community of like 50, 100 people, some random thief probably isn't going to break into your shit because you got so many people. You know what I mean? And also, power and numbers. People are everything, and you have more minds, and you have more like. If you think about the law of attraction, manifestation, if you have hundreds of people desperately wanting the same thing, it's going to happen, So, and also I just see the potential of living a healthy lifestyle and eating healthy. And, you know, the average person wastes so much time on shit that doesn't matter. And they're working to amount nothing in their entire life. They're just making debt, having kids, and teaching them to make more debt, and then do nothing meaningful in the world and focus on instant gratification and pleasure all the time, and not actually discover who they are, their passions. And they're too worried about what other people think, and they're just a fucking slave. There's a hamster wheel lifestyle. It's like, I want to have a group of people that truly like lives to be fulfilled and happy in nature, you know? So there's a lot of ways we can go about this. Basically right now is you just need to meet people who share your ideas in real life. And what it starts with is talking to them on the internet now. So right now I have this Discord group, and what I'm looking to do is develop the culture, help people to live healthy lifestyles. And a lot of people, including me, are broke, and we're struggling to even afford the diet because it gets expensive. And we're not going to afford the diet. I mean, we're not going to afford a farm if we can barely afford to eat. So what I'm trying to do is learn how to make money and teach everybody in the community how to make money, so we can put our wallets together to actually purchase these farms. Or we could do it like some fucking Greg Judy style with no money down, you know? Or there's another idea. Find somebody who shares your ideas, who's wealthy, and then come up with the skills to start the farm for them, locate the deals, and like find the land, learn the language, learn all the zoning codes, all the details you need to know, make it easy, set up the farm down. That's one way you can farm with no develop skills, woofing on a bunch of farms. So you know everything you need to know. You find the investor, you find the land, and you put the people together. Your job is to, you know, become capable of doing it, improving yourself, and then find the people and the deal. So that's one plan. If you can't figure out how to get wealthy, you can just put people together and get them to work.
I love it, man. And that's true. You know, that's also what's interesting is that also a thought that we have thought ourselves, you know, building a community, starting something that like a village, basically.
Yeah.
That we've tried the cities. The city is a cool concept, whatever, but I think it's too disconnected from nature by design. Makes you feel like you don't need it. Makes you forget that where the food comes from. Makes you forget that you're actually human, part of nature. So more like a village style, where you have a community, 10,000 people, right? Food sovereign, self-sustainable, energy independent, and obviously leveraging a little bit of technology that we have nowadays,
but not being dependent on it.
But not being dependent on it, right? Because I think we've learned our lessons from the cities, and now we are kind of ready to go back. And this is not a thought that is just here between us. You know, a lot of people have actually also expressed this about, you know, going to a farm. A lot of people also think they just want to go homesteading, which is cool, but it's not enough. You can't have just individual people, everyone just fuck off, just go off by themselves.
It is a good experience though, so you can develop the vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we need, like you said, we need numbers. You need a community. You cannot just be just one single family out there, right? It's not enough. You need multiple families, because that's the human
family
connection.
Is everything.
That's the human connection.
Family comes power.
Yes.
Because a strong family is going to be able to do great things. Like if you look at the Amish communities, like they're all wealthy. That's because they have close families, successful, healthy, strong families, and all the money that they generate goes back into the family. So they're putting all their wallets together. And it's like the average family has their own farm, you know, and like they all like produce their own food. Like they're not dependent on society, hardly.
Yeah.
You know?
They figured it out.
Owning our homes and our food supply. Most people work every day to pay for their home and to pay for their food and to pay for a vehicle. In my community, I don't want to be dependent on vehicles. You know, we're going to own our food. We're going to own our homes. So that's going to give us like double the free time of the average city dweller. So like we actually need stuff to do all day. Like for me, it's music, meditation, connecting to nature, you know, sports.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's what's interesting, right? It's you know, you have all these cathedrals, right? And you look at them, and a lot of people, basically, we cannot recreate these structures anymore. That skill is lost. And you know, some people theorize that we're not able to do that anymore, because before we used to have so much free time. We were able to leverage, you know, our past technology to save ourselves so much time, and then use our free time to create these awesome structures that stand the test of time that we cannot even make these days, or recreate these days. So yeah,
What
you
sucks
got
the most is like the average person has no time to develop their passions or their skills. They're just hamster wheeling some job that adds no value to their lives or society. Like they're working at McDonald's, like poisoning people. You know what I mean?
but yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like the modern form of slavery, right? Not trying to trigger people or anything, but it's just, if you look at about it, you're working to live basically every day, with no free time to actually enjoy your life. And I think what you're proposing here, like the new community, is a way out, and it'll help a lot of people that just don't want to deal with this sort of lifestyle anymore.
Yeah, is it too much to ask to not be poisoned?
Well, according to the government, it is.
It is, man.
It's called misinformation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, how
It's
about
like
zero heavy
conspiracy
metals in
theories.
my food?
Yeah, man. I don't want to need to eat mold on raspberries to detox my brain, bro. But like,
It's good to not be born with the toxins in the first place.
yeah, man, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah, we gotta find a way to build something like this, a network, and make it to scale. Really,
Well, that's why I'm focusing so much on social media right now, because that's how it's going to be done.
yeah,
That's reach the most amount of people easily without having like.
Teach the mindset through your content, and then find the like-minded people, and then put them together to create something real.
Yeah.
The only issue at that point is going to be the money, right? But
Well, you can find people with money, or you can make money from your videos, you know.
Yeah.
Or with your social media, you can find valuable people who give you opportunities to make money. Like, have you heard the phrase, your net worth is your network is your net worth? When you find rich people, there's no way you're not going to be rich if you become friends with them. You know what I mean? So with social media, you can do that. You can find these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, definitely just pulling up your resources or finding investors or finding people who share a common interest are definitely avenues to that may give you enough resources to get this. Yeah, I think we may give it a shot too.
I'm
but
going
I
to
think
Mexico soonish. My goal is to be there within the next 18 months. So right now I'm working to generate online income, and then I'm going to relocate to Mexico, start learning the language, and find a deal for land, or I'll decide that I'd rather go to a different country. But I want to stay in Latin America.
Yeah.
Come to El Salvador, man.
To be honest, that would have sounded stupid, but I don't even know where that is.
It's fine. It's in Central America. It's like it neighbors Guatemala and Honduras. Just right under Guatemala and Honduras.
I was an hour away from Guatemala. When I stayed in Mexico, I was in Escuintla, Chiapas.
Oh, that's Chiapas. Yeah. I mean, dude, America.
I stayed with a Mexican family, and I was working on their farm with Wolf Latin America. They're so nice. I had a great time. Everybody's scared of Mexico and like think the cartels, but like I had a great time. And when I've done further research, it's like a lot of people are saying like it's like the United States government is a cartel. It's like, what even is a cartel? It's like the cartel is the Mexican government. And it's like some people argue that there's more danger with the United States government than Mexican cartels. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one thing that I think about, you know, because I'm like, if the mainstream media is telling me to worry about cartels, well, everything that I am told, I think, why? How would they benefit from me believing this? Why would they want me to believe this? Is this the truth? And then you just reverse engineer everything. So I don't trust any mainstream beliefs, you know. So, you know, like they say Mexico's bad, it's probably good.
Hey, that's a good point, right? You know, you have the full power of Hollywood showing you new cartel drug shows every month. Just new content. Here's what drug lords do.
It is very trendy, yeah.
It's such a trendy thing, and obviously, yeah, as you said, the media is out here to kind of push this fear as well. You know, it makes you question, you know, what's going on there. I don't know much, honestly. But yeah, it's definitely something to be skeptical about.
Yeah. Someone asks, do you know of a nonprofit organization that supports regenerative farming?
Nonprofit organization.
Weston A. Price.
Yeah, I think Weston A. Price, but I'm not sure if they're an NGO. Like I know
They
a few
have a lot
names,
of meetings too, all over.
Yeah, the Weston A. Price Foundation.
If you guys want to find people who think like everybody in this call, just go to the Weston A. Price website, and there's a chapter leader in every main city. So like, I'd say 80% of the population, you can find somebody who's following Weston A. Price or Aajonus within 30 minutes of you, because the Weston A. Price is like, it's all animal-based eating, you know. So you can find someone really close to you.
Yeah.
You find them, and it's set up in a way where they help you find more people and find food sources. So there's chapter leaders. You can call them and you can meet other people through them, and they'll give you food sources.
Yeah, I also know eatwild.com. That's a pretty good resource.
Yeah, there's Eat Wild, there's Real Milk, there's Local Hens, there's like, then there's Weston A. Price, the chapter leader. So that's how you find food sources. Real Milk, Local Hens, Eat Wild, Weston A. Price. You go through all those websites and you look for basically every farm within an hour of you.
Yeah. I just have to double check if they're actual NGOs, nonprofit organizations. Sorry, and I don't know about that, but there's definitely these organizations out there supporting real food. Progressive will donate to charity.
I don't believe in charity.
Yeah, that's just a mechanism.
Instead, I'll make a bigger change.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you mean you don't believe in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? What?
Most charities are like just profiting off the money and using the money to leverage more money.
Yeah, it's just like tax write-offs and.
Yeah, I don't want to give up the example and like say something I shouldn't, but like, you know, there's some sketchy charities that are actually hurting people.
Yep. Yeah.
We hear you
about that, but no, we're on the same page about many of the issues, but guys, I feel like we could go on forever, but I think we we've gone way above and beyond the hour.
Yes.
Was it supposed to be an hour?
Usually, but no, man, it's cool. I think probably want to wrap it up soon. But dude, Scott, it's been a trip having you here, man. I like all the stuff you share. And I just want to make sure, like, people, obviously we're carnivores, like we're animal-based dieters. We have a lot of overlap, have some differences in opinions, but like, I'm open to hearing it, and I'm certainly down with trying it at some point. I don't think like it's too far. I don't think like the stuff you're saying is.
That's what's important to me.
It's crazy. You know what I mean?
Just try it. That's what's important to me. If you into giving it a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for raw dairy. I'm all for raw eggs. I'm for very rare cooked steak. Like, to me, it's not that big of a difference at that point. And all the other stuff that came with it, the parasites and the bacteria, it makes really interesting conversation. I
didn't even explain the parasite thing either.
Yeah. But I just want to, point out, like, to anyone listening to this, to not be like turned away from these ideas, because clearly what we know about nutrition is very limited currently. Most of what we know about health or modern medicine will teach us is based on like this very flawed model with very flawed assumptions of a human eating like a very shitty diet already. So I don't think it's far-fetched to say that maybe everything needs to be reconsidered, right? All of our understanding of health, nutrition, and sickness, like all of that needs to be reconsidered. Someone's saying here, modern charity is to rob stupid people. Interview was great. Thank you, man. Thank you, Phil. I think your name is Phil. Interview was great. Good job, guys. Good info. And germ theory is wrong. Yeah, terrain theory is definitely very interesting. We grew up, me and my brother grew up dealing with respiratory illnesses, digestive issues. And since going carnivore, like, that seems to be a non-issue until we step outside of that, then the things come back. So there's definitely something there. I just want to, encourage people to keep an open mind and not think like, the stuff Scott is saying is like far-fetched. I don't think it is. but hopefully we'll continue to learn more as we explore further. That's my closing remarks. Anything you guys want to add?
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks for coming on. Love talking with you, and obviously, like just echoing basically my brother's thoughts. So yeah, thank you so much, and yeah, just feel free to plug yourself, and yeah.
There's one more thing I want to add. I'm developing a directory of where everybody on the diet lives. So if anybody wants to find somebody in real life who lives near them, contact me and I can put you on the directory, and I'll let you know everybody who lives close to you.
Nice.
It's just and raw meters only.
For the most part.
Okay, we can't make it.
I'll help you find food sources too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you at least drink raw milk, then you can kind of count as a raw fooder to an extent.
Oh, we qualify.
Yeah, baby.
Yes. Sounds good. Yeah. So with that said, thanks everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and wishing everyone a happy, healthy, and nutrient-dense era. Till next time.
Yeah, till next time. Peace.
Gonna eat it by the stick.